You're on 94.1 FM 3WBC with Jerry Guirguis presenting the Egypt Australia Radio Show, a weekly English edition covering local and international news sourced from Australia, Egypt and the Greater Middle East and North Africa region. The program affectionately covers the arts, culture, trade and politics. And now here's Jerry Guirguis presenting the Egypt Australia Radio Show, 94.1 FM 3WBC, the voice of the Inner East.
Hi and welcome to 94.1 FM 3WBC Egypt Australia Radio Show. Tonight I've got my special guest Kyrillos Guirguis, Egyptian-Australian composer, songwriter, orchestrator, music designer, productions creator and also a music maker. Hi Kyrillos and welcome.
Hello Jerry, thank you.
Now it is an absolute pleasure, and this is my first time that I'm going to be interviewing another Guirguis.
That pleasure is absolutely mine, Jerry. It's lovely to chat to you and to communicate through your radio program to your lovely listeners.
Thank you so much. Now, can I start, sir, by where did you study music, Kyrillos?
Well, as you might know, you've come from the same place where I come from, Egypt originally. So obviously at school there we studied music, but that's all in the past and gone. I actually forgot all about that because I came when I was only 17 or so. But that was my first encounter with music in Egypt. Actually, I remember my first encounter with music was in my kindergarten in Egypt. We used to go to a kindergarten in El Haram.
Yes.
We used to live there. And I very vividly remember that nice double-story large childcare center. And I was probably 3 or 4 at the time. And it has a grand piano.
Oh, wow.
And I remember very well coming out of my kinder room and going and playing on the piano. And then the principal came and said, you shouldn't be touching the piano without asking for permission first. And I remember that very clearly. But I also remember at that young age, at my grandfather's house, there used to be a lute, a oud.
Ooh,
and I remember the color, it was a black oud. So I'm not sure who was playing it or how it. I was only 4 or 5 or something along these lines. So that was my first encounter of music at that time. But all life I have been loving music. It's one of my greatest passions. And when I came to Australia, I started doing my year 11 and year 12, and I've done that at Marybyrnong Secondary College. And at the time I studied music. I did the clarinet and saxophone, and I remember the teacher's name was Mr. Weber. I think if my memory serves me well. So I studied clarinet and the saxophone at the time, and then I moved on, got into university. I did my studies. I'm a consultant pharmacist by trade, so I did medical science, and I've done my pharmacy, and then forgot about the formal study of music, but I still enjoyed music all of that time. And then more recently, I would say in the past 4 or 5 years, I really started to self-educate myself about music. So I would go to work, finish my work home, have dinner, spend some time with my wife, and then I would actually spend good 3-4 hours teaching myself about music, reading about different things. There was no systematic program for me to follow. And this is when I came to realize, okay, my of music is actually patchy. I'm learning what I might say, some advanced techniques, but then I might be missing some of the basic musical principles. So I thought I actually better look for a formal qualification, a formal study that I can follow. So there is in what I do. And this is when I decided I would apply for the Melbourne Conservatorium of Music, and that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm actually my graduate diploma of music at the Melbourne Conservatorium of Music. So I'm really enjoying it. So this has been, in a nutshell, my journey from
Yes.
kindergarten music to year 11 and 12 clarinet, saxophone, and then trying to learn a bit about the lute and trying to play it a little bit, and then looking at music and then formally get to the Melbourne Con for my studies.
Wow, what a journey. So are you still maintaining your professional pharmaceutical pharmacology in services and
Absolutely. That's what put bread on the table. So I'm a consultant pharmacist. So this is actually what I do. I have been, as you know, the music industry is tough, but I've always maintained my enjoyment of music and
yes,
composing music, and I love that. But there is also that intellectual stimulation from my pharmacy profession. It is a
yes.
profession that I love. So I'm still maintaining, obviously, my registration. I'm actually a practicing pharmacist, so I still
Yes.
see patients, and I enjoy that a lot. So this is
What
it's
a
in I've got two
remarkable.
lives. Probably those who know me as the pharmacist don't know that I'm actually composing music, and those who look into my music might know that I'm actually a practicing pharmacist as well. And I
Well,
enjoy both.
I have to say that's a lovely thing, an insight to know. Now, Kyrillos, one of the the industry is recognizes the high achievements of Egyptians in the industry as a pharmacist and the whole medicine sector. So the college recognizes how Egyptians have accelerated so much in current days, in current terms. But we're not here to talk about the pharmacy. Because I loved my chemist, but I wasn't really good at that. So we'll move on to something that I enjoy. So thank you for that, Si. You like you said, you've done your studying. Is that the Victorian College of Arts, or is it now Melbourne?
It's it's part of Melbourne University.
Yes,
It
yes.
is, yeah, it is part of Melbourne University, and it is the Melbourne Conservatorium of Music. It's the Faculty
Wow.
of Fine Arts and Music.
So, Kyrillos, are you sort of diverging onto a specific instrument like a violin or a oud or the lute or percussion? Where do you think you're going to, or you could do both? I'm not saying that you can't. I'm sure.
I'm actually focusing on composition, music composition.
Right.
So
Yes.
I'm halfway through my graduate diploma, and uh, all of my subjects so far had that focus on music composition, and that I would like to continue, because this is what I found. Believe it or not, I don't. I get a stage fright. Don't enjoy being in the public that much. So I think composition suits me well, because I think at it, I enjoy it. I enjoy the creative aspect of it, but it also
Yes.
keeps me at the backstage, where
Right.
I'm more comfortable. But I think, yeah, in terms of the lute has always been an instrument that I loved and enjoyed, and I taught myself a little bit about the
Wow.
lute. I'm not a professional lute player.
Yes.
I'm not as good of a lute player as some of the other names that you might be aware of. But I just enjoy it. I enjoy holding the lute and starting to play on it. And this is, in my cases, this is how I start my compositional process before I then depend on my music theory knowledge
Yes.
and the keyboard and bits. I also enjoy, well, I want and would like to continue learning the oboe. The
Oh,
oboe is one
wow.
of the lovely instruments that I just love. The oboe, I love it, and the bassoon.
Oh,
So
now
I
you've
have an
got me
oboe at
going.
home. I have an oboe at home. I every now and then I try to learn something on it, but it's
Yes,
difficult. It's one of the most difficult instruments, I believe. I had a bassoon once from the Melbourne University, and I had a go at it. It's such a lovely instrument as well. So because I also enjoy orchestration. Uh, Composer and an orchestrator, I also need to understand more about the different instruments. So
yes.
the more exposure I have all of these instruments, the better equipped I am to compose a nice piece of music and then orchestrate it in a nice way that
Wow.
people then and I enjoy it.
Wow, that's a beautiful set of environment to be in, to understand most of the instruments and their uniqueness. Um,
Absolutely.
um, I know I was privileged to find you on SoundCloud, and you're on Facebook. Have you helped other groups to produce an EP and an LP, and have you done one for yourself?
At this stage, I'm trying to consolidate my own musical profile, but I'm
Yes,
also I attend St. Mary's Coptic Orthodox Church in Kensington, and
yes,
church there are so many talents there. There are so many skilled musicians there
yes,
that we're trying to work and get something going there.
yes.
Um, it would be an amazing opportunity. I'm currently collaborating with one of my colleagues there to get him out. You might have seen on my SoundCloud profile there is that Arianos of Antino. It's
Yes.
one of the pieces that I've got, and I've got the lyrics for it. So at the moment, we're rehearsing the vocals as well, and it
Wow.
might be a nice hymn at the end of that because Arianos Saints that is close to my heart. He's one of the most vicious persecutors of Christianity at the time in Egypt, but then
Right.
he turned to become a martyr. So he's someone that I really like the story of, and that's how I compose that music relating his story and the lyrics as well. So in terms of collaborations, I'm always searching for collaborations. I'm
Yep.
trying to work with others as much as possible to see how our collective skill set and experiences can bring to fruition some great music and projects that people can actually enjoy.
Wow. Now, can we just talk about Whitehorse, the Whitehorse Orchestra? When did you also join them?
I contacted Gerald Koineman, the musical director and the principal conductor of the opera, the Whitehorse Orchestra, and that was about a year ago.
Right.
I gave him the idea that I've composed a piece that is called Dead as Lazarus, and he was keen and interested to have a look at the score. And when he looked at the score, he said, "This is something that he would like orchestra to play." And this is how we started. We had a few meetings, went through the score, went through the piece itself, and I attended a rehearsal with the orchestra. It's such a lovely orchestra, and Gerald is such a kind person. He's such an empowering um, conductor and musical director. He's empowering. I actually admire him a lot, and I have him to thank for the opportunity that I have this Saturday when they performed it as Lazarus as part of the concert program.
Now, the one thing that's coming up from the website, of course, of the Whitehorse Orchestra, you've got an event happening. Let's talk about that, Kyrillos.
This is the event that's happening this Saturday. So it is the winter concert for the Whitehorse Orchestra. And in that program, they will perform a short piece. It's an orchestral piece. It's a short, about 5 minutes, called
Right.
"Dead as Lazarus." So this is the first collaboration that I have with Gerald and the Whitehorse Orchestra, and I think the program will be fantastic this Saturday. I have confident that the piece of music is quite unique and has a different And I remember Gerald once said it sounded like Bach on the Greek islands. So I think it's a nice piece, but the program as a whole will be lovely. The orchestra are such competent musicians. They're so nice, and I believe under the baton of Gerald, it will be a great event on Saturday. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes, so for our listeners, it is coming up on the 17th of Saturday, 17th of August, 2024, 2:30 p.m., correct? 2:30 p.m.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's at the MLC, which is the Methodist Ladies College on Barkers Rd Kew. So if you can make it, I certainly will be. I'll be clapping her and supporting all the way, and of course the orchestra. Hope to meet you there, Kyrillos. You've got a huge name supporting you. The Kyrillos, Pope Kyrillos is, I'm
Absolutely.
sure, there in every way. So congratulations, and we have to catch up with you. Certainly, thank you so much for allocating the time here on 94.1 FM.
Thank you very much, opportunity. It's lovely to have that chat with you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you on Saturday at that great event.
Thank you, sir. Bye.